Bethlehem Steel Corporation was once an essential part of American industrialization. Known for providing employment to thousands and supplying the steel to construct much of America's famous architecture, today the company is bankrupt. So how did this industrial giant rise to dominate the steel industry? And what caused the company responsible for landmarks such as the George Washington Bridge, the Hoover Dam, and Alcatraz Island to fall out of favor with America? Stay tuned to find out, as today we covered the rise and fall of Bethlehem Steel. I'm your host Ryan Sokash, and you're watching It's History. Before diving into today's topic, I want to thank Home Title Lock for sponsoring this video. Thanks to them, I'm learning how to protect my home from a threat not many people know about: title fraud, also known as house stealing. Did you know that criminals can steal the title to your home with just one document filed with the county recorder's office? House stealing happens when a criminal forges legal documents to transfer your home's title into their name. They use information readily available online and submit it to the county as if they were the rightful owners. Once they have the title, they can take out loans using your home as collateral or just sell it. All this happens without you even knowing, and by the time you find out, you could be facing massive debts, or in the worst case scenario, losing your home. So you're probably wondering, do I really need all of this if I already have homeowner's insurance or identity theft protection? The answer is yes. None of those solutions protect your home's title. Insurance doesn't cover fraudulent title transfers, not to mention identity protection systems won't alert you if someone steals your property. Thankfully, Home Title Lock has an innovative solution, their Triple Lock protection system. It safeguards you with 24/7 monitoring to detect any tampering to your title or mortgage, urgent alerts of any changes, a US-based restoration team that works with lawyers and experts to restore your title. It's like a digital shield around your property, giving you peace of mind for your most valuable investment. Remember, this kind of fraud can happen to anyone at any time, so why wait until it's too late? You can sign up today at hometitlelock.com/itshistory and use code ITSHISTORY for 30 days free protection and a comprehensive title history report to ensure you're not already a victim. That's hometitlelock.com/itshistory, or you can click the link in the description. Thank you, Home Title Lock, for sponsoring this video and helping us understand the importance of protecting our homes. But now, back to our story. Bethlehem Steel's foundation was laid long before the company itself formally emerged. Its story begins with the Lehigh Coal and Navigation Company, which gained prominence in the 1830s for efficiently transporting coal across Pennsylvania. At that time, the U.S. still relied on Britain for much of its steel production, for its rapidly expanding infrastructure. So, seeking a more effective way to transport coal, businessman Asa Packer enlisted his protege, Robert H. Sayre, to establish and operate the Lehigh Valley Railroad headquarters in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Sayre quickly identified the need for a reliable iron source to supply the railroad's expansion. To address this issue, he acquired the struggling Sakona Iron Company and renamed it Bethlehem Iron Company after its new home. Sayre's relationship took the company to new heights. By 1860, he recruited John Fritz, often called, quote, the most innovative of all American ironmasters. Fritz took up the role of designer and operations supervisor. Under Fritz's direction, Bethlehem Iron's first blast furnace began producing iron rails on January 5, 1863, fueling the nation's burgeoning railroad industry along the way. Fritz's innovations earned widespread acclaim, to the point that by 1864, he was asked by the federal government to construct a rail rolling mill in Chattanooga, Tennessee. This initiative supported the Union Army's efforts in the Confederate South, yielding substantial profits for Sayre's enterprise, marking the beginning of a long-standing relationship between Bethlehem Iron and the military. By the late 19th century, Bethlehem Iron had become a major industrial force. Producing cannons, armored plates, and machine components contributed to the U.S. victory in the Spanish-American War. The South Bethlehem plant created thousands of jobs, drawing immigrants from Southern and Eastern Europe, whose labor and cultural contributions enriched Lehigh Valley. So it was in that context that in 1899, the railroad investors founded Bethlehem Steel Company, as they had acquired Bethlehem Iron. Just 2 years later, Charles M. Schwab, a visionary leader in the steel industry, took control of the company. In 1904, Schwab rebranded it as Bethlehem Steel Corporation, a name synonymous with American industrial dominance throughout the 20th century. Schwab's leadership was characterized by his unparalleled knowledge of steel production and his ability to captivate the public and investors. Under Schwab, Bethlehem Steel expanded aggressively, both nationally and globally. He secured coal holdings across the northeastern United States, acquired iron mines in Cuba, and purchased strategic assets like the Lackawanna Steel Company and the Four Rivers Shipbuilding Company. These acquisitions ensured a steady supply of raw materials, allowing Bethlehem Steel to diversify its operations, solidifying its shipbuilding and infrastructure development leader position. To manage the company's rapid growth, Schwab hired Eugene G. Grace, an electrical engineer whose managerial expertise complemented Schwab's bold vision. Schwab and Grace formed a leadership duo that propelled Bethlehem Steel from a minor player with less than 1% of the nation's steel capacity in 1905 to the world's second largest steel producer within just 35 years. Grace was named company president, while Schwab continued as board chairman. This transition marked the beginning of a new era for Bethlehem Steel, as Grace's operational efficiency ensured the company remained a global industrial powerhouse. Their combined efforts cemented Bethlehem Steel's legacy as a cornerstone of American industrial expansion during the first half of the 20th century. During World War I, Bethlehem Steel cemented its status as a global powerhouse, becoming the largest supplier of armaments. The company built warships for the British Navy and filled substantial orders for the French and Russian governments. This strategic shift helped Bethlehem Steel break into the international steel market and expand its global influence. Despite the challenges of the Great Depression, Bethlehem Steel proved resilient. But it was also helped by President Franklin D. Roosevelt's National Industrial Recovery Act in 1933, which suspended antitrust laws in exchange for labor reforms, and this helped stabilize the company. Then, when World War II broke out, Bethlehem Steel's output became crucial to the war effort. The Bethlehem Shipbuilding Corporation produced an extraordinary 1,121 ships, accounting for nearly 20% of the U.S. Navy's two-ocean fleet. The company's wartime contracts ranked 7th among U.S. corporations. At its peak, Bethlehem employed over 300,000 workers, with 180,000 focused on shipbuilding alone. Eugene Grace played a pivotal role in this effort, promising President Roosevelt one ship per day, a goal that Bethlehem ultimately exceeded. It should also be noted that women entered the workforce in large numbers around this time, as men left for military service, though many of these positions were only temporary. Despite the company's reputation for providing stable, high-paying jobs to the community, working inside the plants could have been better. Workers endured grueling and dangerous conditions, especially in the coke works, described as smoky, fiery dungeons with unbearable heat. The intensity was so extreme that sweat would boil on workers' skin, causing painful steam burns. Additionally, wages needed to be increased to support a decent living. There were no benefits, and employees felt that they could be fired for incorrectly looking at an executive. In March of 1941, the United States was on the brink of war. Bethlehem steelworkers went on strike, demanding better conditions. At this point, the company was forced to recognize the Steelworkers Union. Among the first of the concessions was a modest 10-minute lunch break, previously unheard of. Over time, wages improved, but working conditions in the most hazardous areas remained unchanged. Bethlehem Steel thrived into the 1950s, expanding its market by supplying steel for the growing suburban development boom. However, in 1959, a 117-day nationwide steelworkers strike dealt a blow to the industry. Ultimately, it would come to an end when Vice President Richard Nixon brokered an agreement that provided workers with raises, pensions, health benefits, and vacation packages. But the trouble didn't end there. You see, the industry's problems deepened when collusion among major producers led to price hikes and damaging lawsuits. And this was horrible for America, as the resulting increased domestic steel costs forced American buyers to turn to imports. Many workers claimed that executive management contributed significantly to the company's decline. Instead of innovating, leadership reportedly prioritized short-term profits over long-term investments. Then, with the rise of the so-called mini-mill in the early 1960s, a cheaper, more efficient alternative to traditional blast furnaces was dismissed because it didn't promise immediate returns. Even so, by 1962, Bethlehem Steel opened a new plant in Indiana, focusing on sheet and plate steel for auto manufacturing. However, this expansion did little to close the gap with foreign steelmakers, who continued to innovate. While Bethlehem secured high-profit contracts, such as Madison Square Garden, its outdated practices persisted. A public relations campaign attempted to rebrand the company as forward-thinking, but it did nothing to help the public perception of the company's more systematic issues. The declining competitiveness of the domestic steel market became ever so evident when U.S. steelmakers, including Bethlehem Steel, lost the bid to provide materials for the World Trade Center's construction. Bethlehem was overlooked, as steel from various foreign sources was used instead. And by the 1970s, tension between management and labor just escalated. The Steelworkers Union was often blamed for the company's failures. At the same time, both sides were accused of prioritizing their financial interests over the plant's future. These disputes culminated in the closure of the South Bethlehem plant on November the 18th, 1995. A closure that, dare I say, marked the end of an era. For decades, the steel plant had been the backbone of the community, supporting thousands of families and playing a vital role in America's industrial and military dominance. However, decisions made by management and the union hurt Bethlehem's long-standing perception as a company that provided for families, taking those provisions away from thousands. With the closure of the plant and Bethlehem's bankruptcy, many were just left without jobs, benefits, or pensions. These days, the remains of Bethlehem Steel are a reminder that no company is too big to fail. The site of the original Bethlehem plant is now host to the Steel Slack campus, a venue created to prevent further decay or demolition of the plant. Any tax dollars generated from the site are utilized to revitalize the former steel plant by hosting events and festivals. The cultural impact of Bethlehem Steel goes beyond just the families it supported, as these guys played a part in constructing many of America's most impressive monuments. Beyond those already mentioned, Bethlehem contributed to the Peace Bridge, the Verrazano Bridge, the Rockefeller Center, and the San Francisco Municipal Railway. The company is also known in pop culture, as Bethlehem is the namesake of the indie rock band by the same name. The company has also been celebrated in song, such as Bethlehem Steel by Grantley Buffalo and Allentown by Billy Joel, which focuses on both Allentown and Bethlehem as steelworking cities. And with that being said, I'll leave you with this notion. Although the plant still stands today as a memento of American growth, I'd also consider it to be a warning against greed and complacency. And we'll wrap it up there for today, but you should know that we've done episodes on almost every monument mentioned in this video, making me realize just how deep this company's connection is to American heritage. You can find those videos in our It's History podcast playlist by clicking here. If you've got an episode suggestion, you can also get in touch with me over on the Patreon page by clicking here or scanning the QR code on screen. Don't worry, it's free to submit an episode suggestion, so get in touch with me over there. Otherwise, until next time, I'm Ryan Sokash, signing off.